and welcome. I'm standing outside of a local hospital where my beloved wife Jayne has been taken. She broke her leg, and it's just a brief video on her distress and mine and the various treatment received by the November Hotel Sierra. I'm going in to see her in a minute. Now, you may remember I put up a video on returning to my ministry, my YouTube channel, Marty Bucko, and that when I filmed that on the 29th of June 2024, and I speak to you today on the 20th of July 2024. Well, what happened was on the 10th of July, Jayne came back from work, her cleaning job, and it was about 20 to 7, 10th of July. She'd been under a heavy cold and she dragged herself in, really. I says, you don't have to go in. She says, well, I want to go in. I can get through it. I'll be all right. Because she was like starting a new job so many months and felt she didn't want to let them down. So yeah, she went in. Anyway, I heard the keys fumble a bit and it went quiet. I expected it to come in any minute. There was two other people in the living room, and one of the grandchildren ran out and came in and saying Nana's broke her leg. She'd fumbled with the keys. There was 2 steps going up and she broke her femur, went down. She had a weak left leg anyway, and brittle bones does actually run on her father's side and has affected a number of people in the family. She doesn't have it herself, but she is a carrier of the brittle bones. And so we went out, we got cushion, obviously rang the ambulance, got cushion, got blanket, and by the grace of God, you know, it wasn't raining and it wasn't red hot weather like we've had the last couple of days. So we did okay in that sense. We were waiting for the ambulance, and again, by the grace of God, it was only 1 hour and 10 minutes on the floor. Neighbours had gathered, various people had gathered, and the ambulance came when they knew her condition that she had. She was very brave, very, very brave. The ambulance, when it came, there were 3 young people, all in their 20s, made me feel really ancient, but they were good as gold. One who knew what he was doing, and a student, and one with a bit more experience, but they were lovely. And they took her in to the hospital. Bearing in mind this is the 10th, I speak to you now on the 20th, and as I speak she's still not had the operation. Now I'll come to the reason why in a minute. So she's in a ward and on morphine, a leg in traction, very brave. There was people, again, all people having their operations cancelled by and large, and there was a lady directly opposite from her in the bed that had like dementia, and she was shrieking. Jayne couldn't get any sleep for days and days and days. It was like some sort of asylum. Now, it's not her fault, she's got dementia. I'm just saying how it was. So the staff, by and large, were very good, very kindly, very helpful. I've complained to the doctors, and I've spoken to the bone specialist. I've left a message of complaint as well on the it's called PALS, like a purple phone when you go out of the ward, and you can leave your complaint with someone. Now, it's not so much the failure of the overall staff and the people, but it's no good saying it's just the system, because the system is about, it has like chief executive and the people over and the running of the hospital. What has happened here is that the part that she needed for the operation they didn't have in stock. They simply, it wasn't there, and it had to be brought in from Europe, flown in. So first of all, she went for a scan, because the bone specialist wasn't happy to have the operation unless it's the wrong type of operation. They've got to put a rod in and pin it with various things, and the bit that was missing was a very short pin that they needed to screw it in and hold it at the top. She had a very thin bone at the top, so they didn't have it in stock. It wasn't, and they don't I don't think they hunt about other hospitals for it. They just deal with their supplier. Now, obviously, they said, you've let us down, you've let her down. And as I speak to you, all being well, the operation will take place on the 23rd of July, which is a Tuesday. They said as soon as the part arrives, they're expecting it to be there on the Tuesday. They will take her in and operate on Jayne. So as you can imagine, 2 weeks with a broken femur. Oh, they did run out of morphine at one point as well. I jest not. They ran out of morphine as well. They have got her a supply. She's doing okay. She copes better with this in some ways than me. I get very mentally troubled and distressed, but she copes really good. She's very strong. Also, there was a guy that's right, the other day they had a guy walking round who was sectioned, and they had 2 security guards. He was up and down the corridor and in and out of people's wards, and it was really quite distressing to watch this type of thing going on. So it very upsetting time for those who are believers. I value your prayers. I thank you for your prayers, and those who are kindly affectioned, have Jayne in your hearts. Think upon her, and we'll get through this. We'll get through this, but I don't want it to drag on into a 3rd week and for complications to set in. Now, what makes all this, how can I say, added to this, before the divot 91 of the Rona Bologna nonsense kicked off, she was going to have a genetic scan on her leg, and they were going to do something, but that all was scrapped as soon as the divot kicked off, and she never had that. And after it all settled down to some degree, they didn't pursue that. They didn't. It was all sidelined, but they admit now it should have been done. So once more, the old divot plays a part in people's misery, even after this particular nonsense. So I think really that's about it. I'm going to go in now and see how she gets on. Now, in the comments on this video, I'll let you know. I'll put a comment after the 23rd, probably the day after or so, to let you know whether she got the operation on the 23rd or whether it's been put back yet again. Various people come into the ward. One lady, a dear lady, was who she gets on with Jayne. She came off her electric, these scooters that fly around. They scare me to death, some of those scooters, I'm telling you. They go whizzing by, and some of them are big geezers on them, and all. But this lady, she broke, oh bless her, she broke her ankle, and because of the nature of it, they said to her on the day of the operation, it's going to puff up, it'll never be normal. And I said to Jayne, poor lady, she's getting married, she says, in a couple of weeks. And what's she going to do for shoe size? Buy 2 shoes every time, a bigger one and a small one. Take care and stay out the way of these flying scooters, innit? Certainly don't go around. Oh, you've got to be careful. Anyway, said enough. You all take care now. I'll let you know how things go. Much love. Be seeing you.